TDS released over 5 years ago now, and the game has changed drastically from when it first came out. Towers, maps, GUI, and more have had a lot of changes, and even stuff like the community has too. Okay, maybe not. Well, stuff like the evolution of towers has been covered a lot. I feel like bosses don't get enough love, and just like towers, they have changed so much. So basically, off the year at the top right, and I'm gonna be covering a more broad sense of bosses, but anyways, release! The first bosses to ever come out were these guys, and they did not look that good. They all share the same face, have basic textures, and they're just basic in general. Most of them are called boss, number here, rather than name, and boss 3 looks suspiciously like a different boss. Next update would bring the tank and boomer, but then the heist happened where we got some interesting and memorable designs. Fun fact, Swordmaster would be the first major boss. Molten Boss and Gravekeeper would be added next, which would stick around forever, until recently, with the first boss themes being for Molten Boss. More weird enemies, and hey look, their names are finally normal. Over the next updates, the mystery boss would be added, as well as the gold titan prestige. Aliens, more weird designs, and raider boss who could kill towers? Who copied who now, huh? The last update in this period would add more unique enemies that would be forgotten, and they were generally themed around ice. That's the end of the beta period, and despite how some of these designs were quirky or weird, I respect them and their creativity. This period was definitely categorized by its uniqueness, creativity, that basic Roblox feel, and you could definitely tell they were still getting into it. Oh wow, it's the mega update, awesome!
Did it just do the nene? Oh my god, it just did the nene!
Anyways, more staples of the game were added. The new Fallen mode added a lot of new enemies, and the Guardians are also here now. A new boss, Gravedigger, was added, but also the Legend Fallen King is here now. No, not that one, the OG. Boo, Halloween event. That candy had something in it because these enemies are looking a bit weird. Oh, it's the Hidden Wave, with lots of retextured bosses. Most importantly though, the creator, being an evil version of Below Natural. Wait, this boss mostly takes elements from the Fallen King and was probably inspired by him. Winter came fast and you got more rebranded bosses. A Yeti, a tank, but Christmas. Another reason to die deep cut, but more importantly, more stealing from tower battles. At this point, bosses would start to gain immunities, damage things, and the annoying shield that this bitch-ass motherfucker would abuse. Templar would be added and people would hate it, and then it got nerfed and was crippled. Easter had just a bunch of random-ass animals, and the coolest boss would be added next update, as well as his ugly-ass crew. New mechanics though, like the amalgamation, constant healing, and splitter would pave the way for future enemies. But the start of a new era is on its way, and hardcore beta would release. To speedrun this, new enemies, a new lead effect which would give bullet immunity, stumping early game players, an angel, the king enemies would appear. These guys would take the appearance of a previous normal boss but harder. Swordmaster got tired of being forgotten, but more importantly, the Void Reaver. The Void Reaver was a pretty monumental boss because it would lead TDS to the boss designs we have today. It had multiple stages, clean VFX, and even an awesome death animation. I don't know, it was just so cool seeing the first time, getting him low, and then throwing the sword and leaving you at 1. I wish TDS did more cool special things like this. Oh, also there were 2 of them at one point. Honestly, this period had its own charms and felt like a natural evolution to the beta period. This era still retained its blocky, almost classic, iconic Roblox look to it, while adding their own unique charms. But by the end, you could tell they were progressing, and the next bosses would definitely reflect this quality change. This year's Halloween event features Lord Sinister as the final boss, having smooth textures, some Roblox items, and some of their own stuff. This pattern will follow with the other bosses in this period. Lord Sinister was also the first boss with voice acting, a huge step towards the progression of bosses. Then the Cold came. Frost event, yay! The big boss this time, not really, Frost Spirit. Like Lord Sinister before, this boss utilizes catalog accessories while still using smooth textures, but having original models and VFX in there. This boss also has 1,000,000 HP. That is all from this era, and looking back already, you could see the progression. Anyways, while this era seems to have been short, it was still a big step up, but the next era will possibly be an even bigger one. This era would immediately start off with a bang and keep a key TDS formula going. This would be the Solar Eclipse event. All of a sudden, 4 mini events in one, so many new bosses, new mechanics, the Night System, Umbra, Ascent, and more, so let's break it down. Jax is the boss, and the concept is from an old enemy Jax, and that Jax is copied from a Tower Battles enemy, Swamp Monster, another rebranded past Halloween boss, and he throws tridents. And the simp boss Penumbras, who, is strange to say the least. Strange clock aesthetic, which would come back later. Jax lost his head, a shield type guy, and these weird servant type bosses who just spawn enemies. Finally, the Umbra. Being probably the main antagonist of TDS, she has 1 million HP, has a bow which she spams and uses to actually kill you. Also, Hidden Wave was removed. Jumping in time a bit, Duck Hunt would be the next update to add, actually, any enemies at all. Ducky enemies would be the staple of this event, with probably the most goofy enemies in TDS history. Ducky Doom, returning from the last Easter event, but this time he will charge at your base due to this unique event. The next major update wouldn't add enemies, but instead more modifiers with classics like Spacesuit or Scuba Gear. These next couple updates will involve big stages like Polluted Wastelands 2. NFK has been replaced with Nuclear Monster who just crashes out. Dude, what is that? Stop it! Why is it making that noise? I don't understand.
Dude is yelling! We're barely doing
Minecraft replaces Templar. Badlands would be remastered next, with the Gunslinger being the main boss who spins around a minigun. Halloween would not have an event, but instead one of these maps where they would have Bootleg Foxy as a final boss. And he's scary! This era is very transitional from Overhaul to Modern. At the beginning of this era, it was still very much using the Overhaul smooth textures, but by the end of it, it started to transition to this blocky style that will be heavily used in the modern era. Overall quality, animations, and VFX are getting so much better, and the game will continue to skyrocket from here. Lunar Overture begins, and the Umbra is back with new bosses. Plush-themed enemies appear as this event takes a stage-like approach and also uses the Night System. The first boss, Executioner, just throws his axe. The second night just redoes the 2019 Halloween event, but improves things. And on the final night, we have the Umbra. Psych! It was never the Umbra. It was just a hands for Smash Bros. The whole time. Time for Christmas. They end up doing a rerun of Krampus, but new and improved, which seems to be a developing theme in this era. New mode, Intermediate mode. After what felt like for years, TDS released a core new mode, Intermediate, aka Golden Mode's replacement. This mode brought really strange stylized enemies as well as Patient Zero, the supposed starter of the infection. Whoa! Fallen mode update. TDS is starting to revamp their old modes, and they start with arguably the most iconic. Fallen King would get a brand new design, partially taken from core blocks. In fact, all the new enemies in this mode will have the same vibe from the core blocks event, favoring a blue color scheme instead of the purple before it. You have the Hexscape event. This would set in the motion TDS's storyline that could honestly be a vid on its own, but it's really weird. Yeah, Fallout Brain looking guys. Also, you get to fight just a man and enemies like Conserver, who may have the worst voice lines in TDS history. Molten Boss would get the boot for Molten Warlord, which basically functions the same way. Cooling off a bit from the most recent update, the Christmas event Operation Ice is here. Frost Spirit would make his return, but this time new and improved. They also added this weird two-headed guy. The Ducky came back, but you know he's a nerd now, so that's something. Templar made a comeback in PvP mode, and that's it. This period is different, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but it just is, and it feels like a different game. As you may have noticed in this era, they have revamped every old mode into this new blocky, smooth, kind of realistic style, and I think that's it. They're trying to modernize as Roblox is. You know, you see these new big games with clean animations and stuff, but you also see kind of pay-to-win kids games. And TDS feels like right now like a combined version of those. They also revamped or added onto many of their OG event bosses, and it makes me wonder if this era is almost like a soft reboot of TDS. I don't know where TDS will head next design or even game-wise, but where they're heading is somewhere different. Looking back on these boss designs and looking at the wiki for hours researching for this video really gives you perspective on how TDS went from a cool game ripping off tower battles to doing the same thing. But even though I think TDS is kind of losing the sauce, you can't deny the progression of the overall game. Not only for these bosses, but for everything, and the game itself as well. Hopefully TDS keeps growing and evolving, and we could all still keep enjoying the game we all love.